Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe von Rookie TV. Leider ist unsere letzte Ausgabe ausgefallen wegen kleiner technischer Schwierigkeiten. Dafür sind wir jetzt zurück mit einer ganz fantastischen neuen Ausgabe. Heute sind wir bei Circle im Studio, sie nehmen hier ihr neues Album auf und es wird in Fachkreisen gemunkelt, dass es das verlorene Savatage-Album ist. Oder auf der anderen Seite das Savatage-Album, das Savatage jetzt aufnehmen würden, wenn Savatage noch aktiv wären. Viel Spaß und crank it up.
Show. What inspired you to this? Was it only fan request or was it just to play the material again?
Well, you know, being that, you know, our album has been out for a while, the new one, so it's not like we're going out and trying to punch every song of that right now. So we have some options in what we want to play live. Right now we have a situation where we can kind of open up with some Savatage, kind of celebrate that a little bit. It's some of my favorite songs, and I'm the one out here singing them now, so it's my job to bring it to the public. So we do that, and then we kind of go back into a little bit of circle-to-circle segment of the set, and then maybe back into Savatage to end out the night, along with a few circle-to-circle songs. So it's basically a simple formula. I love it. I think it's very inspiring. It brings a different situation to the show because it's a little bit more, it's almost like, you know, hard rock, you know, metal, maybe
progressive?
Yeah,
metal.
Progressive metal meets Broadway a little bit, because you have that Savatage song. So that's good, and that brings out a side of my singing that people want to see, you know, again, and encapsulated with the entire thing with Circle to Circle and Savatage songs. So that's kind of what we're doing right now, just because we like it, and I enjoy singing them. I mean, you know, I just really do. They're incredible, so why not celebrate them and, you know, do the best we can with them.
So when we build a bridge to today, where we're here in the studio, what can the fans expect from the new material you're recording right now? Is it more like old school circle to circle, or is it more like old school Savatage, or a mix between both?
Well, you'll have to kind of wait and see. I think right now it's kind of just sounding like more like old school circle to circle. But if you know, that has a little bit more influence from the Savatage side, I think, overall. Yeah. So it sounds like it may be a little bit of a combination forming. So we'll just have to see. This is like, again, that's the first song, so we're going to have to look at that and say, you know, where do we, you know, go from here, and see what other influences exist.
Okay. So my next question is, the aspect is that we are here in Frankfurt and not in the Morris Sound studios, you know, what the most fans, you know for the old school Savatage sound, or sound, you know, they hear in these epic songs. So why pick this one here?
Well, we're out here on tour, and we've never ever really tried to record a song in the studio while on tour before. A lot of people think that's crazy. You know, it might have been a little bit impossible for me in the past just because of the toll on the voice, you know, going out and singing live all it, and then might not be in that same kind of voice. But it's different now. I mean, we did 4 shows, and then we're able to, you know that this facility exists right here, so we figured, let's do something different. Go into the studio while you're on tour. Maybe different inspirations occur, you know. I'm interested in looking at all kind of different angles now, so it was interesting. At first I go, well, that might be a little too difficult being out on the road to hop into the studio and start attempting to do first singles or, you know, first or second songs on the album, but, you know, you guys got to keep looking further and see if you can do it. So that's kind of what brought us here mostly. We found the facility through our management, through Annette at Red Lion, so she just worked on that, and it turned out to be a good thing.
We talk about Savatage. What was back in the day the point where you say, I leave Savatage and I build up a new band with Circle to Circle. But on the other hand, you still got your friendship, you know, with Sean, for example, and write songs with him together. Why I did this back in the day?
Well, you know, that was when I had my first child. She was, you know, a little tiny baby. My first time having kids, and it was a little bit crazy at the time. So originally I was just supposed to take 3 or 4 months off, and then it just became like through situations it just increased and increased, and Savatage wound up doing their last studio album that they've ever done, just the last one without me. And then the Trans-Siberian Orchestra thing kind of really picked up and gained momentum, and that's really a huge, enormous thing in the United States. So all of that transition was already in the works. I could see. So it was really a transition time whether I wanted to do it or not. So I just went ahead and took the initiative to go ahead and spend some time with my family, and then to start up Circle to Circle maybe a year later. And that's basically what happened.
Okay, and you were also part of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Mm-hmm. That's right too. And all the friendships are amazing. Like you said, everybody in the band, we talk all the time. I talk to John Oliva quite often, Al Petrelli, you name it. Johnny Lee Middleton, Jeff Plate, talk to him all the time. Chris Caffrey especially, we're still great friends. Everybody's doing it. And, even though we haven't been able to find a way to do a Savatage reunion or anything like that, we can all, just keep contributing, where we can. So you're right, I'm on all the TSO albums too, and very glad about that, and just really glad to just, be in that circle. That's a really great circle of musicians there. Kind of what Circle to Circle was named after. That's a piece of why we have our name. So it's not a big secret at all.
So it's one of the most, I think, most successful touring bands in the United States.
Yeah, it is. #1 in attendance. And, it's been really neat. It's a different twist on everything, and it was just a growth in what that whole situation, morphed into. But it's neat. But I still, I still keep my Circle to Circle side because that's where my heart is. That's where the music in my heart, kind of really is. But I love singing on, and doing many other projects. So it's pretty neat.
Let us go back before Circle to Circle and even before Wicked Witch. What was inspiration for Zachary Stevens to get into music, and who inspired you the most?
Well, I started, drums is my first instrument. So I started playing drums at age 9. So I've been, over 30 years now doing that. And I started singing at the same time. So at the same time, because we didn't have a singer in the band, and we were going to the talent show, and I was in 5th grade, and my brother was 9 years old. He played bass, really great bass player. Nobody knows about my brother, but he decided not to go into music, so that's the reason. But we had our band together with my friend David on guitar, who was also my age. He was 10 years old at the time. We played our elementary school talent show, and we won the whole thing by playing 2 Eagles songs and a Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Cool.
And one Kiss song. So that was when it all started. So it started a very long time ago, and I would have to say that my influences had to be those very early things. Kiss, probably John Fogerty, for CCR, Three Dog Night, another band. My mom had all their records, so I'm always pulling out Three Dog Night. I mean, we're talking like way back, and maybe Peter Frampton in a weird sort of way. Not really vocally, but probably more drums. And Rush, all because of, Neil Peart. And that's what my thing was, listening to Rush, was all the drums from Neil, because he's considered the best in the world, So that was, some influences there. And then singers, when I really started trying to get serious at singing, was only till about 20 years old. The rest of the time I was pretty much a percussionist. You couldn't even, and I sang, and everybody goes, hey, you sing good, and we try to look for other lead singers of the band, and we would find one, and they would be pretty decent. And I'd say, look, we finally have a singer. No, we don't. They don't sing as good as you. And so we could never find a lead vocalist, ever. So that started getting on my nerves, because I had to sing and play vocals, and everybody we auditioned, they would go, my band guys would go, no, they're just not quite as good as you, Zach. And I'm like, geez, you better just chill out and find a singer. You guys are killing me trying to sing and play drums all the time. So when I was about 20 is when I really seriously, okay, I'm going to be a front man now. And by that time, it was people like, of course, the late Ronnie James Dio, huge influence on me, Bruce Dickinson, David Coverdale, Judas Priest, Rob Halford, Jeff Tate. That was the time I grew up in the 80s or 90s, pretty much the 80s during my teen years. So that's who was out at that time. And that's pretty much wound up being an influence on me vocally.
So with all the great singers.
Pretty much, it was a crazy time. You don't have that many great people all out at once now. It's nothing like it. It's just unreal. But you know, sometimes the music business is totally different now. You don't have these ruling gods of vocals, 9 of them. You know, growing up in the 80s, you don't just. Those days I don't even know what happened. But it was a lucky time to be growing up with all those great influences all at once. So I think that helped me a lot when it came to just singing for a living.
We go forward to Wicked Witch, and a special guy, you know, discovered you when you were singing in Wicked Witch. Was Paul O'Neill.
Yeah.
So what was it for you, you know, to step up to a band like Savatage?
That was awesome. I mean, you know, it's a combination of putting in a demo with lots of other, you know, tapes where people are competing for that lead vocal spot. Almost 90% of them trying to sound like John. They didn't want any of the ones that were trying to sound like John. If you came in there and said, I'm going to be a Leva, they went, They kind of knew that they wanted to, it better be different and it better be good and a lot different. So I was just lucky enough that I came in and fit the bill of, hey, very different, but holding his own. And that was unbelievable. But I had to have a lot of development too. I didn't just come in, you know, winning that. You know, I had a time where I had to work with Paul O'Neill for months and months. So, you know, like 2 or 3 months straight where, you know, him developed me from his producer perspective. And that's the first time I ever had that kind of interaction with a producer. So that was important too. So, you know, just learning all that stuff for 10 years was unbelievable. You know, it was great. And the music of the band is just impeccable, I think, of Savatage. It's just so much more of a higher level than what you get with you know, a lot of different things you can point out. But, you know, just in general, it was great being in a band who could teach you so much from all that great music.
Yeah, it was for me personally in the same leagues then I would say Dream Theater or Queensryche or those bands back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. And all huge influences on me at the time, and some of them on the same label we were on. You know, Dream Theater on Atlantic Records, the same as Savatage. They were label mates. So you look at them and go, wow, that's a great record they put out too. Then you start seeing all the major competition on that level in your life. You go, oh man, you know, you have to always be just competing and going nuts.
So my last question in this interview, you play whole sets with Savatage songs, you know, and after the TSO shows, my colleague Andreas told me there were a few Savatage songs played, you know, as addition to the TSO shows. So the obvious question will be a reunion of Savatage with 2 singers, Zachary Stevens and John Oliva.
Well, I would say if there was one, you would definitely have both of us. Yeah. You know, I believe they would go ahead and do pretty much run the gamut of the latest, you know, lineup. But gosh, I'm a fan of that, as everybody knows. But I don't even have any idea of knowing any more than you do about is that really going to become a reality one day. You know, wow. Right now, it doesn't look like it, but you never know. You know, I think the great thing is something like the TSO, you know, Savatage connection and Circle to Circus connections, and you know, maybe it'd be Chris Caffrey's band or whoever has bands. And they're all kind of in the loop. So, you know, that's a great thing. So that makes stuff like that possible. Yeah. We have more hope for that because of this big network than you do of any kind of isolated situations, which may never result in one. So I think you just have to give it time, and if the appropriate time comes, it may just well happen.
Und jetzt werden Circle to Circle für euch unplugged und exklusiv bei Rocket TV ein paar Songs spielen. Thanks, Zach, for the time.
Thank you, man. And Thanks so much for having me.
And I'm looking forward to the unplugged set right now.
You are? All right, good. We should play a few.